Okay, so we're back to start making our soap batter. So here I have my oils already. They're pretty much room temperature. So this soap, like I said, we're making some carrot cake soap donuts. So this is the fragrance we're using, Carrot Cupcake. This is by Nature's Garden. The notes of this one, it smells very yummy, very warm. It has top notes of orange and carrot. Its middle notes are cinnamon, clove, maple, sugar, nutmeg, bay leaf, and the base notes are vanilla bean. I think that's it. Oh, and cake. But it smells very yummy, very like spice. Like you would imagine a carrot cake to smell like, very spice. So we're only gonna do one base solid color, our donuts. I'm not doing any swirls or anything like that because we're going to add some pizzazz once we put our frosting and our embeds on it. So I'm going to go ahead and add all my additives now to this oils before I put in my lye. So we have a lot of fun additives. So like I said before, I have my carrot puree here. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. I'm going to use the oil spatula to scoop it all out. And this carrots are a natural colorant for soap. So this will add some orange color to it. I also have some mica as well. But this fragrance oil that we're going to be using today, it does discolor to a beige because it does have some vanillin in it. So I'm going to try to counteract that with some mica. I don't know. We'll see how it goes when we put our natural additives, and then I'll decide whether I want to use the mica or not. So the next fun additive that I have is some kaolin clay. So there's about 2 tablespoons of kaolin clay. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Next one is about 2 tablespoons of ground oats. Now this is not anything fancy, it's just oats that I ground up myself. Very fine, passed it through a mesh strainer to only get the fine pieces. I have done soaps with the bigger chunks as well, and it gives like a nice personality to the soap, but right now we're just using the fine pieces. Next, I have some turmeric in here, and this is again another natural colorant. So I'm adding my 2 teaspoons. And my last fun additive, I will be adding 2 tablespoons of this organic agave. And agave is a nice vegan alternative to honey if you want to add some sugar to your soap, and more sugar you use will add more lather to your soap bars. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and blend this. Before we add our lye, I'm just going to stir it up a little bit, get that powder mixed in, and then I'm going to stick blend it. Okay, so let's go ahead and stick blend this. Okay, so that's the color of our batter right now with just our natural additives. So I'm going to put this to the side for just one moment. Here I have our lye solution. One thing that I forgot to do before, which I normally do right after I make the lye solution, is add sodium lactate. So this is the sodium lactate I have. It's from Soaper's Choice. And what this does is that it helps harden your bar. So when it comes time to unmolding, it's a lot easier and you don't have to wait as long usually. So for the amount of soap that I'm making, I'm going to be adding 2.5 teaspoons. So I'm just going to eyeball this half teaspoon. Okay, good. Close that up. Okay, so I'm just going to stir that in. Okay, now I'm going to bring back my oils with all our nice additives. I'm going to grab my strainer and I'm going to strain my lye solution. Like I said before, it's just a step for peace of mind to make sure that everything has been broken down properly and you don't get any light chunks that could potentially burn your skin or your customer's skin. So before I decide whether I'm going to add my orange mica, like I said, this does discolor to a beige. I'm going to go ahead and blend this to emulsion, and then I'll decide if I want to add color and how much color. I do have it pre-dispersed, so let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll add that in our fragrance. Okay, so this is pretty orange as is, but I'm going to add my orange mica anyways, just because I'm hoping that this will help keep the color more vibrant after the discoloration. And the orange I'm using today is Tequila Sunrise from Mad Micas. So I just dispersed it in some of my oils, and I'm going to go ahead and add that. Let's go ahead and mix that and see what we think, and then I will add the fragrance. Okay, so I'm going to add my fragrance now, and this, according to Nature's Garden website, it does have a slight acceleration to it, but in our case it doesn't really matter since we're not doing anything intrinsic or anything too fancy today. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So now we're going to go ahead and pour this into our molds. Okay, so I have my molds on this tray just so I can move it a little bit easier. I think it's going to be a little bit complicated to pour it from this big bucket. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add some to this bucket so I can have more control over the pour. And we'll just refill as needed. Yeah, so it's definitely getting a little bit thicker, which is, again, it's fine. We can work with this. Let's go ahead and tap that down a little bit. Okay, so that was a disaster. I spoke way too soon when I said that it was workable. As I was pouring the donuts, it started off being kind of okay, and as I'm pouring it in, I see that it's getting thicker and thicker to the point where I'm basically just blopping it on there, and I had to use my spatula to even it out. So I got soap everywhere. Luckily, I always sanitize my surface before I start working, so I had to scoop it back into my bucket and just kind of work as fast as I can. So as you can see, it's quite messy. There's soap all around because it did not go in neatly at all. But such is life, I guess. I have never worked, honestly, with a fragrance that accelerated that fast, but there's a few reasons for that. One of them is all those additives that I added. So like the carrot has sugar, the agave has sugar, and all that contributed to it moving even faster. And then honestly, after I put in the fragrance oil, I should not have stick blended it. I should have just hand mixed it and then poured it in, and I probably would have been better off. But I guess that's how it goes. We learn from our mistakes. Next time I would definitely do that. I recommend not over blending it. I didn't even blend it that long, honestly, but I shouldn't have blended at all, just hand mixed it. But now we know for next time I use that one, I will apply the lessons learned this time around. Honestly, I'm quite nervous that these will have air bubbles in them because they went in so thick. I tried to pat it down, but these silicone molds are very flimsy as is, and it's so thick that, I mean, I know I got some air bubbles out. I saw it especially when I was kind of tapping these macaroons down, but I guess we'll see tomorrow. I'm scared, but hopefully it's not that bad. As you can see, I made these larger donuts, and these are the ones that we're going to sandwich tomorrow. So I'm going to take 2 of them, put some frosting in the middle, and we're going to make a sandwich. What color is the frosting going to be? I'm not exactly sure yet. It kind of depends what color these end up being. If they stay relatively this color, I'm thinking we'll do like a white creamy frosting, because you know, kind of like the frosting that they put on carrot cake. And then we did some macaroons, and we did some mini donuts and bun cakes. So these bun cakes right here, they have a lot of grooves in them, so I'm thinking those will have the most air bubbles in them, but whatever is not usable, it's fine. We'll just use it at home. But hopefully it's not that bad. So we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll unmold them, and we'll see how bad of a job I did. Okay, so it's the next day, so we're gonna go ahead and unmold these. As you can see how messy it is, that just kind of goes to show how desperate I was yesterday to just try to get this all in the mold. These poor guys. But I'm hoping that there's not too many air bubbles, so I guess let's go ahead and start unmolding, and let's see what we got. I'm gonna start with these, put those to the side. You can see it's quite messy, the mold, but we did the best that we could given our circumstances. So hopefully, there we go. Okay, that's not too bad. There are a little bit of bubbles here. You can see there's one here that I see, maybe a small one there, but I'm okay with that considering how thick that batter was yesterday. But let me not speak too soon, because that's what I did. Yes. Oh, yeah, you see here, there's a little bit more. But maybe we'll find the worst ones. And like I said, since we're gonna kind of sandwich these and put some frosting in the middle, maybe we'll choose the nicer ones to be the top donut. And the ones with more air bubbles we'll use as the bottom of the sandwich. Okay, but these are not too bad. I'm just going to go ahead and finish unmolding all of these. Okay, so these turned out a lot better than I expected. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I was quite nervous, but let's see how these turned out. So we did 2 shapes of these. We did just the round donut shape and then this little mini bun cake. This obviously has more grooves, so potential for more air bubbles. But I only have 4 of these, so let's see how they look. Oh, this has some color difference. That's interesting. Yeah, these are a little bit more rough around the edges, you could say. Yeah, that doesn't look good. No, that's so sad. These weren't so easy to tap down because these molds are quite flimsy. So that's why you have these huge air bubbles. Oh, that's terrible. I'm scared to see this one. Yeah, that's not gonna do. Oh man. Okay, this one is like the best out of all of them, I think, but still not good. For sure. Yeah. All right, well, lesson learned. Now I also have these little macaroon cookies. So let's go ahead and check those out. Okay, so let's check out these little baby macaroon cookies. Yeah. Also a little rough around the edges. I mean, this does have like inside the mold, the edge is supposed to be a little bit uneven. So maybe it'll be more forgiving. Here we go. Here you can see it. Might have to try to cover the top with some soap frosting or something. Yeah, you can see air bubbles. So yeah, so definitely learn from my mistakes. If you're going to use this fragrance oil, probably wouldn't add too many things that are going to speed up the trace. And I would definitely hand mix it in instead of using the blender. Let's check these out. Probably the same though. A lot of soap. Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sad. Oh gosh. Hopefully we can salvage some of these, but a lot of them will definitely not be fit for sale. That's okay. Whatever we can sell, we'll enjoy at home, I guess. It happens to everybody, as I've come to notice. As you know, you kind of give yourself a hard time for making these kind of mistakes, but the truth is, like, no matter how long you've been making soap, these kind of things tend to happen, and especially anytime you're going to be using something new, it's just part of the game. So that's that. I'm going to leave these to the side, figure out what I'm going to do with these, and we'll focus on our donuts. Okay, so I have my knife here, and I'm just going to kind of clean up these uneven portions. The frosting will make it okay, but some of these that have like really uneven bits, we're just going to go ahead and cut those off. Like this has a really big one, as you can see. I'm going to just cut that off. And as much as this fragrance did misbehave for me, it does smell really good. The whole place smells like a spiced carrot cake for sure. So I would definitely recommend it just for the scent. But just be cautious in how you do things. Don't do anything like I did. And I hadn't tested this out or anything like that, so that's also my bad. I just went in for it. But luckily, we didn't do anything too complicated with these donuts. It was just one single color. Because if I had a swirl in here, I'd be really in trouble. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose the ones that look the best to be the top donut in our little donut sandwich. And then the ones with the more air bubbles like this, you can see those will be on the bottom. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to make 2 lineups. Okay, so I'm gonna put my top ones on the top of my tray and the bottom ones here for now so I don't get confused. And I'm gonna set this aside for now. Okay, so here are my oils, and I was thinking about it, and I do want to fragrance this because, you know, the frosting is a good portion of the soap, but I'm just going to try to be a little bit smarter of it. So thinking back, the clay, besides the agave and the carrot, the clay probably also contributed to the thickening of it faster because it was quite a generous amount, and that can also harden your bars. So the only additives I'm going to be using are my oats that I use in the main bar and this walnut powder just to give the frosting a little bit of personality. So this is all going to be, since those donuts are quite orange brownish, I'm going to do this more of like a white beige color. This, like I said, this fragrance does discolor. So I am going to use some titanium dioxide and hopefully we'll get some sort of whitish, more whitish than beige frosting, but we'll see. Okay, so I'm just going to hand mix this in a little bit, and then I will stick blend, and then we will add our lye solution. And this time around I will only be hand mixing in the fragrance, even though it is frosting and I do want it to thicken. I don't want it to thicken too fast because I do need time to pipe those, and if it moves as fast as it did yesterday, then it would be a problem. So let's go ahead and blend this up. So we're going to add our lye solution, and again, this is mixed with aloe vera, so that's what's in here, and aloe vera, the lye, and the sodium lactate. Let's get a spatula. We're going to put this through our strainer. Okay, so I'm going to blend this, not too much, and then we will, actually, you know what, we're going to put our TD in now because I want to not be panicked like I was yesterday. So, and like I said, this fragrance does discolor, so I'm hoping that by adding this TD it won't discolor as much, and also it'll kind of have a more uniform color. At least that's what I'm thinking. So that's 1 tablespoon. I guess let's mix that in and see what we think. Oh yeah, that's already looking very white. Okay, so let's go ahead and add our fragrance, and then we're just going to give it time on its own to thicken up. Okay, so here is our fragrance. Again, this is Carrot Cupcake from Nature's Garden. Please be nicer to me today. Okay. And there it's in. So I'm going to go ahead and hand mix that in. Oh, look how orange that is. I didn't notice that yesterday because our batter was already orange. Okay. We're just gonna mix it in really well and just waiting for it to thicken on its own because the TD in here is gonna help it thicken up faster. So I'm not gonna stick blend it or anything. We'll just be patient. Okay, so I'm gonna let that thicken up and we'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, my frosting is getting thicker. It's not thick enough to frost yet. You can see the consistency. It's kind of like puddingy. So I had an idea. I'm going to try to salvage some of these, at least from the top. Maybe the ones that are not as damaged from the sides. And we're gonna see if we can kind of cover up our mistakes, kind of use it as icing. Worst case, if this doesn't work, like I said, we'd love to use them here. These are kind of like the better ones. We're just gonna experiment a little bit. Maybe let's try first. I have this tray with parchment paper under, so that if it spills, it's not gonna make a huge mess. And hopefully it'll drip down a little bit. Try to cover up some of those imperfections. I'm using my finger just to move it around. It's not falling down as I thought it would. There we go. Sometimes you just gotta force it. This one has some big, oh, that's good. This one has a big hole right here, so hopefully that big dollop of frosting will somewhat cover it up. We will just do all of them and then I'll tap it down. And as much trouble as she's giving me, I'm telling you guys, it smells so good. It really smells like I baked something in here. So for that alone, I guess this fragrance has redemption. Okay, so I'm just seeing now if there's any more like big gapes that I want to cover, so that when I tap it down again, it'll cover them. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit better about it. Okay, I decided to try to save these guys as well. Again, anything that is not up to par for this shop will just be given to friends and family. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't want to mess with it too much and just let them do their thing. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. Okay, so I have my frosting here and it's thick enough that I can put it in my piping bag. So I have a piping bag prepared here. This is the piping tip I'm using today. I don't know what it's called. It says 9FT. I don't know if that's right, but that's the piping tip. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my frosting. And try not to make too much of a mess. So this is only one color, so it's going to be easier than if I had two colors. I'm just going to plop it all in there. So I got everything in here. I'm gonna let it get a little bit thicker in the piping bag, and then we will go ahead and pipe our donuts. Okay, so while I wait for this to thicken up just a little bit more, I'm gonna go ahead and explain what the plan is. So we're gonna pipe this in between our donuts, and then I'm gonna put the base donut. Let me grab one. We're gonna grab our donut, we're gonna pipe some of our frosting, we're gonna put another donut on top, like so, pipe some here. Then we have our carrot embeds that we made in our previous video, and that will go on top. And then I also have these white sprinkle mix that we might use as well. I don't know, I haven't decided quite yet. And I also have potentially to use this fairy duster. This is Sparkle Me Gold, and also from Mad Micas that I might dust the top with. We'll see once we pipe it how we feel about that, but I have everything ready to go in case we do decide to use it, so that's the plan. So it looks like my frosting is pretty good to go. We're gonna go ahead and test it out. So I've laid my bottom donuts here and I have my top ones here. And we're gonna pipe. Let's see. Oh, that came out fast. Just gonna go around like so. And I'm gonna do this to all of them. Make sure I get to the edge. Okay, so I'm gonna put this down here for one moment, and I'm gonna go ahead and take my top soaps and just gently try to place them on top. Push them down just a little bit, just for it to adhere to the soap frosting. But I want to still be able to see that frosting detail on the sides. So now that that's done, I'm going to take more frosting and we're going to put some in the middle here. Make a cute little, so we can have somewhere to put our carrot. These are a little bit more forgiving because the carrot is going to squish it down. So you're not going to see all the details. Okay. Put that to the side. And I'm going to take my handy dandy carrots and I'm going to put one on the top of each. I gotta make sure I don't mess it up with my finger. And now thinking of it, I might end up doing melt and pour drizzle on them as well, but we'll see. That looks so cute. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and spritz this with my alcohol. But I'm gonna avoid these carrot tops because if I put alcohol directly on that, it could melt my green. I'm just gonna gently do it from the side. In all honesty, I should have done this before I put in my carrots, but it's okay. Okay. So that looks cute. I have a little bit more frosting. Oh, actually our sprinkles, I forgot. We have our sprinkles. Should we do our sprinkles? Okay, so we're not gonna put the sprinkles on these because one, I don't think that there's enough space. Maybe we can do it on the melt and pour drizzle if we decide to do that. But on this like itty bit of frosting, there's not enough. Maybe if I would have done it wider, but the deed is done. So that's that. Okay, so I have some more frosting in here. So I'm just gonna put a little dollop in these cakes, and by doing this I'm also hiding the imperfections that are in the inside. So I can't decide whether I want to do the melt and pour drizzle on these donuts. I'm thinking no, but just to be sure, so I don't doubt myself later at night when I'm trying to go to sleep thinking about whether I should have done it, I'm going to test it on this little flop donut. So I have some melted white melt and pour here, so I'm going to drizzle it and I'm just going to see if I like it. And if I want to do it to my for real donuts. Okay, so this is how it looks. I like how it looks. The problem is, honestly, I should have done it before I put the carrot on. My bad. I'm gonna try to do it one because I do like how it looks. It gives it a nice little icing look. So I'm gonna go ahead and melt some more melt and pour, and I'm gonna try to do one on the sides without getting the carrot. Let's see if I can make it work. Okay, so I have my melted melt and pour here. So my plan is I'm gonna drizzle them on the sides, and then I'm gonna turn my board and I'm gonna do the other side. So it's gonna be kind of like a squarish look. Let's hope that this works. Okay, so for the last step, I'm going to dust it with this fairy duster just to give it some pizzazz, and let's see how that turns out. So I want to put it kind of far away. I'm just going to sprinkle it on. Okay, I'm going to take these guys, and I'm also going to put a little bit of my fairy duster on it so they don't look as dull. Great. Okay, so that's that. As you can see, this is a mess. I'm going to let this melt and pour set, and then I'm going to go ahead and remove these donuts, and I'm going to let them cure for 4 weeks, and then they'll be ready for use. I'm going to be honest, I don't know if the melt and pour was the best choice in this. I mean, I do think it gives it more personality, but I don't think I did such a good job pouring it. So let me know in the comments below if you have an opinion. If you think I should have just left it. I think we all have this problem where sometimes we just don't know how to leave things alone, or if I made the right decision by drizzling them. If you like this video, please subscribe and like, and I hope to see you in our next video. We have some fun stuff coming up, so I hope you'll join us for the ride. Okay, have a great one. Bye.